Good morning. Good morning. My name is Reverend Leslie, and I am a recovering perfectionist. Perhaps I have some company in the congregation. Oh, I have been in my life, I'm not going to say I am because I'm not going to affirm that, but I have been in my life an A- tantrum throwing crier, a Christmas party destroyer after a cookie got burnt, a fit throwing, I won't going because I ripped my pantyhosing mess at times. And what Science of Mind has helped me to begin to understand, please know it's a journey. What Science of Mind has helped me begin to understand is that in the spiritual hero's journey, which we're all on, right? The 1/3 of our congregation that's in this room and the 2/3 of our congregation that are out in the wild blue yonder online, as we've been working together through our spiritual hero's journey, we have reached the part of the journey where all of the prep is done. We've crossed the threshold into the grand adventure. All the men and women and non-binary beloveds, we've made our teams and we've joined and we're going along and we crossed the threshold and we passed the threshold guardian. We're on the adventure and oh, things keep happening. Things keep being in my way. On my adventure, I keep having adventures. And perhaps you can relate, each challenge I come across, I don't always do it perfectly the first time. I sometimes don't even do it a little bit well the second time or the third time. And if you, like me, have experienced perfectionism, what that tells us is we're wrong, we're bad, we're not enough, we fail, we suck, go home, quit, don't try, run away, hide, and dear God, don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret, right? It's just me, I can tell, it's only me. But I'll tell you my story, just in case it's interesting. There are some things about our teaching, about the science of mind, about New Thought, I think that can help keep us stuck in the fearfulness and the really brokenness of perfectionism. And I want to put an end to it today. Are you with me? I want to put an end to it today because we do not need this silliness. We do not need this. The secret to a joyful, high-achieving, successful, glorious life is progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. But then we run into this challenge, at least I do, that our wonderful, wonderful practitioners and ministers stand up here every week and they tell us we are what? Whole, complete, and perfect. And then I'm like, well, but they told me I'm supposed to be perfect. I'm supposed to be perfect. So when I'm not perfect, I not only now do I suck and should quit and go to bed and hide it all, but now I'm a bad religious scientist too. Oh no, this is very bad. Oh, but my friends, there are some answers to dig us out of this confusing perfectionist hole. The first one is a grand mistake. A grand mistake that goes back much further than religious science, so we're off the hook. It is a mistake in definition. So the world has a definition for perfect, right? Exactly right, the first time, pleases everyone, and no mistakes and no challenges. That's perfect, right? Definitely no wrinkles, Definitely not 6 extra pounds. Definitely not dropped the ball or said the wrong thing or made someone cry or forgot to do the bloopity blop. None of that fits in perfect, right? And that's the perfect that we're chasing in perfectionism. It's a worldly definition. When we use it here in religious science and science of mind and new thought, in the sort of spiritual philosophy that overlies everything that we do here, when we use the word perfect, it is based on the gospel. It's Matthew 5:48. Matthew 5:48. Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. The words of Jesus, the Christ, the master teacher. Be ye perfect, even as the Father in heaven is perfect. And doesn't that sound lovely and impossible? Now we have to be God too? I was upset about the 6 pounds and the burnt cookies. But my friends, when we look at the phrase, be perfect, even as the Father in heaven is perfect, of course, that was not written in English. Surprise. It wasn't written in Latin. It wasn't even written in Greek. It was probably written in Aramaic originally. It was probably spoken in Aramaic originally, which is the language that was spoken at the time that Jesus, the master teacher, walked the earth. And I have a little definition chart up here. The term rendered perfect, that's translated as perfect in most English translations, is teleoi. I am so sorry to my Hebrew speakers that I just butchered that too. It's the same word used in the Septuagint, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, for tamen, which does not mean free from error. It means including all, lacking nothing necessary for completeness. Be ye perfect, even as the infinite Spirit is perfect, meaning there is nothing missing in you right now as you burn the cookie, drop the cake, say the wrong thing, cry when you're supposed to laugh when you're supposed to cry. Whatever it is we think we're messing up, all of that is included in the divine nature of you, of you, of you, of you, of you, of me. Being perfect, the godly definition of perfect, means accepting that every aspect of the divine is present in our personal being, and every aspect of our personal being is only made up of God stuff. It's as opposite of the worldly definition as we could possibly get. The worldly definition of perfect tells us hide, pretend, cheat, be afraid, quit, be fearful of making a mistake. The godly definition of perfect, where everything we are is already divine, tells us try, go for it, put yourself out there, tell your truth, cry in public, laugh in public, love, mess up and do it again, try 72 times, wear the dress, go to the party. And know that it is the work of the divine in us as we show up. So we can take a breath. This whole philosophy of perfectionism was based on a silly mistake, and we can just let it go, right? Oh, here, I'll unplug it all from your brains. Feel better now? Excellent. Well, just in case it got a little deeper into your psyche than you were aware of, we'll do the other 2 parts of the talk. Maybe someone in the back row over there needs it. The right definition of perfect is key to having the right connection to Spirit. It shows up in how we talk on the inside of ourselves and on the outside of ourselves. If you wonder in any given moment, am I following the worldly definition of perfect or the godly definition of perfect, you can look at how critical you are being to yourself and to anybody else. Now, none of us are highly critical, right? Right? Of course not. We've never said things like, well, I have very high standards for myself and others. I'll sleep when I'm dead. How hard is it to just do it the right way? I would never, right? Ooh, anybody feeling a little busted? Right? Every time we think we know how somebody else is supposed to do it, every time we want to spin what happened so it looks like we did it the right way, every time we don't want to look at the ever-growing pile of the things we think we're supposed to be doing because it makes us go, ugh. Like 5 of you got shorter when I made that sound. Every time we're hiding from life, it's because we are leaning into the worldly definition of perfect, which we've already established earlier in this message as impossible. When we turn to the godly definition of perfect, rather than highly critical, we encounter this gorgeous land called deeply accepting. Deeply accepting. And it's entirely hinged on this definition of perfect, right? Because if I am only worthy of the divine, be ye like the Father in heaven, be we as God on earth, as God in form. If we're only like that, if we're perfect, well then perfect better be something pretty easy to accomplish, at least for me. But when I recognize that it's not a thing to accomplish at all, it's already here. I couldn't ungod myself if I tried. And I think I might have tried a couple times. It simply is. And when we recognize that that perfection is showing up in and through and as our own selves in the beauty and in the messiness and in the in-between, when we really let that settle in, how could we be anything less than kind to ourselves? How could we be anything less than accepting of our own attempts at something new, at our own desires to be a deeper expression of the God that's living as us? It just wouldn't make sense. And when we know it for ourselves, it's so beautifully simple to see someone else and be like, oh, God is Rachel. You're so fantastic. Whatever you're doing. Oh, God is Bobby. It's so simple to see it. And how could we ever think, oh, God is Bobby. How hard is it to show up on time? It's hard, y'all. It doesn't even make a sensible conversation anymore, right? Paul Tournier was a Swiss physician. He was a Christian writer and medical physician, and in the growing realm of psychology as it was being born, he did a lot of writing on sort of spiritual wellness in the early part of the 20th century. And he became very famous worldwide because his clients, his patients did so well, and people would come from all over the world to study his methods. And he was quoted as saying he really kind of hated when that happened because they would come and study his techniques and they would always leave disappointed because he said, all I really do is accept everybody. And it's a brand new idea to so many people. They just come and they tell me how awful they are, and I just accept them and love them, and then they get better. And then, unfortunately, rather than learning deeply from this, many doctors went, well, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Oh, you're doing everything. And the beautiful piece of it is we all have that capacity to show up with that kind of deep healing acceptance for ourselves and for everybody else. And I am so sorry to break this difficult news to you. You might want to take a breath for this one. If you can't do it for yourself, you are limited in your capacity to do it for someone else. Right? I'm not going to say you can't, because we're God-informed, so there is no can't. But it's much more challenging. It's hard to start with us. I know. And it is the most effective and the most broad-reaching to start with deeply loving and accepting ourselves as the godly definition of perfect, right in the middle of whatever messiness is happening in your world right now. How does that feel? Just feel into yourself. How does it feel to think, I can just accept myself exactly the way I am, and I can just accept everybody else exactly the way they are? Even if that means my discernment says, oh, you are so wonderful, not in my life. You are a beautiful gift of God over there. I'm dead serious. Sometimes the most deeply accepting thing we can do is to love them on their path to wherever they can get what they need. To love ourselves on our path to whatever we need without needing to drag anybody else with us. As unique individualizations of God. Deeply accepted. Ernest Holmes wrote in Journey into Life, we are all human beings on the pathway of an eternal progress, and we all make mistakes. But these mistakes are never held against us, and the suffering from them exists only when we indulge them. The divine giver is also the divine forgiver. The other way we can really check in with ourselves in any given moment on, am I defining perfect in my life from the worldly definition or the godly definition, is, am I focused on results, or am I focused on progress, on process, on the path? With results focus, there is an avoidant motivation. I don't want to do that. I might suck at it. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to try that. What if I'm bad at it? What if it takes me 72 tries and everybody sees me mess up over and over? I could never. If anybody has ever said something as simple and silly as, oh, I love your hair, I could never pull that off. Ooh, really? As a unique individualization of God, your hair color choice is limited? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Oh, I'm so proud of you for going back to school. I could never. Avoidant motivation, because we are more afraid of failure than excited by the process. When we're focused on process, we get really freaked out by slowness. Oh, it's going to take forever. I'm going to be 78 before I get that degree. You're going to be 78 anyway. Focusing on results is the ultimate suppressant of creativity and joy, because it entirely puts the whole focus on whether something is worthy on somebody else's opinion. Somebody else doesn't get a vote. Somebody else doesn't get a vote. This is a conversation between you and indwelling spirit on whatever it is you're doing. And only you and spirit as you get a vote. You know you're focusing on the process when every step in the right direction counts as success. Frankly, every step counts as success. Because as we've talked about over and over again, you're walking this way, God's making the path. You're like, tree, I'm walking this way. God's like, oh, there was a path. What does God do? Makes a new path. And it's the new right path. In the infinitude of the universe, every movement is progress, is a step in the right direction. The only thing that isn't success is holding back from taking that step out of fear. We can godly sit, we can godly walk, we cannot godly cower. Nowhere in in the Bible, like 400 sometimes it says, be not afraid. Nowhere does it say cower like little weenies. I've read the whole book. It's not in there. It's not in the Science of Mind text either. It's not there. When we're focused on process, the speed doesn't matter. We just keep going. We listen and we step. And we listen and we step. And somebody out there says, oh, you won't make any money at that. That's my favorite. You're not going to make any money at that. Any of those things. And we just go, shh. And we step, and we listen, and we step. What are people going to think? Shh, and we step. I want to see a lot of this motion going on over the next week. Shh, shh. We got to quiet down those other voices so we can hear the still small voice that's guiding and directing us. We know that we're focused on the process when we feel inspired, when the creativity is bubbling up from the inside, even if it doesn't make sense. In fact, if we feel really called when it doesn't make sense, you know you're on the right track. It's rising up because we're following that indwelling voice. Be ye perfect like the Father in heaven is perfect. Be you whole and complete in your own self, even as spirit. Not like spirit, you notice, as spirit. As spirit. We turn away from the idea of worldly perfection because it gets in the way of our God truth. The progress that every step, every lesson, every mistake, I'm using air quotes, every mistake, every mess up, everything is constantly moving us toward our greater, highest good. Because we are perfect. We are whole. Nothing is broken. We are complete. Nothing is missing. As we are right here and right now. And so it is. Ernest Holmes wrote, "The secret of all progress is getting into a right relationship with the universal. This knowingness is the right relationship with the universal." So the invitation this week is to watch your thinking. Watch what you're saying to yourself. Am I focused on results or am I focused on the process? Am I being critical or am I being deeply accepting? And when I think about what perfect means to me, am I using the definition that is given to me by indwelling spirit that tells me I am already what I need to be? Namaste. And so let's drop that. Let's anchor it in with some prayer. So good it is to rest in the knowingness that infinite spirit is literally right where we are. In us, as us, through us, in every single way. That there is not a single subatomic particle in any of our beingness that is separate from the divine. And not an iota of the perfection of the divine missing in any of us. We are the hands and the feet and the voice and the heart of God on earth because we are divinity showing up in unique form. Every single one of us. Yes, you too. The one who thinks I'm not talking to you. Yes, you too. Oh, so good it is to just rest in that. To know that every single aspect of our life is completely guided, guarded, and directed. There's nothing we need to do or be or accomplish to earn this high status of beloved in the sight of the one. It's already true right now. And so whatever is on each of our hearts, I know it's met in that place where Spirit is saying, oh, my beloved, rest in me, rest in this truth. The qualities of the divine, the wholeness, the love, the peace, the healing, the abundance, all of it is present for us right here, right now. I'm so grateful to know this truth and to release it into the action of universal law as we say together, and so it is.